Jan, just kind of an update on Chit-Chat. Are we still thinking day to day?
Yeah, she got pretty sore, and so yeah, it is, and that's not just I think coach speak. We just have to wait till it all starts coming together. So I'm hopeful the sooner the better. But she got took a pretty hard hit, so it's definitely just day to day with her. And obviously we got back last night around 9, so I haven't seen her yet today. But I don't anticipate her practicing today.
Is that a concussion or neck or shoulders or
There,
what's?
it's a neck, the head, and the shoulders and back. So they're concerned about all three of those things.
I'm not sure
with
what
Chit.
bad juju you guys have uncovered because that's three straight Thanksgiving MTs where somebody has gotten hurt.
I know it is kind of a weird thing, but now it's over, right? Now we're over. Now it's over.
Um, just is how did you feel everybody handled that situation? Obviously, Strimel has stepped in there and played well, but just emotionally, mentally adjusting on the fly. How did you kind of feel everybody responded to that pretty well?
I was extremely impressed and pleased with their resolve. Even during the game, that it was a scarier situation when Chat went down. I mean, the gym kind of goes quiet, and she's definitely banged up. And so you see her kind of how she goes off, but for a team to kind of keep in the moment and a team as close as ours, or really any team, but Chad is just a beloved leader. And so for them to kind of keep their wits about them and that next person in philosophy, that was, I thought, really the best part of that Baylor game was be able to pull that out. So I thought we handled that really well. And then it moved right on into Miami. And, I thought Strimlow really had did a great job, stepping up.
You had Taylor Sternal basically play a game and a half as the starting point guard. Just what did you see from her in that game and a half, and what confidence did that give you that you do have a true backup point guard on the roster in her?
Well, Taylor is just that kid that she leans into moments. She has since the minute I recruited her. And then when you get here, the game is bigger, faster, stronger. But she's just that consummate team player. It doesn't matter the role that kid has, she embraces it, and she'll do whatever it takes for a team to be successful. And, she worked on her ball handling over the summer just in case, she gets in those situations. So I just can't say enough about her. It's just such a great story. I mean, last year she went down and we faced a team with a lot of pressure. She had a lot of turnovers in the first quarter down in Cancun, but she still had amazing moments in that tournament and throughout the year. She had so many hustle plays that helped us be successful last year. But fast forward to this year, a similar situation, as you said, Dargan, happens, and that kid becomes player of the game. I mean, that's what you want to have happen. Some people, like, they worry and they kind of go inward. That kid just went outward, and she had no idea how many minutes she was going to play here. She'd probably gotten, some of the least amount of minutes as we've been trying to work in some young kids. So for her to be ready, it just shows you what type of leader and player she is. And I couldn't be happier for her,
On
or more
Thursday,
thankful that she's playing so well.
on Thursday night against Baylor, Emily kind of went for the kill shot there. Maybe not when you would have wanted her to, but does that give you confidence that you have a player that's kind of got that killer mentality on the roster?
Um, Yeah, I think that Emily is able to get a shot. We just have to continue working on the wins. When do you do that? How do you do that? What does that look like? So it's patience, and I think I got to remind myself and all of us in my first press conference, patience is going to rule the day. I think it's patience in the kid in Emily's development, patience in coaching development, patience within all of their circles development. It's just she has that ability. It's just knowing when and knowing the clock management and knowing how we need to utilize that. But I think that will be eventually a really good strength of Emily. But we have to continue to progress through the steps.
Coach,
Last year,
go ahead, Kyle.
last year, close games were something that you guys struggled in. There were a number of games that, whether it came down to the final shot or the final possession, that you guys just kind of fell on the wrong side of. I know you probably would have liked to score more than 57 and 64 in your 2 games down there, but how much is a takeaway just that so far you've been able to find a way in close games and hopefully flip the coin from last year in the way that it went?
Yeah, I think that is the positive. I feel like you in sport, you have to find ways to be on the positive end of the scoreboard. And that's what makes it so fun to critique how you do it, how, oh, we didn't score this many points or they didn't do. But at the end of the day, the goal is to have one more point than the other guy, right? And so sometimes you can be, do everything right and you can be the most beautiful display of your strategy, but you come up just short because it was, a mental mistake here, a missed stop, a missed free throw, right? So if you can get the mentality and the grit and that heart component to withstand the pressure cookers at the end of the games, I think that just is such a good step for the building, especially when you're younger than you're older. And we played 2 teams that are just a lot of pressure. Not that we won't face that, going forward, but when you face teams that are pressure and you take out of the lineup arguably your most reliable player at this point, offensively and defensively, you gotta find any way, anyhow to do it. And for that team to do that, Chad has really turned into a leader for us. She's quiet, but she's growing into the way her presence is on the floor, and they really rely on her for a bucket. They rely on her to be able to break a press. They rely on her to get them the pass when they need it. And she can defend. So I think that this team being able to, a lot of people had to be out of their comfort zones in this game. McCabe doesn't usually handle the ball coming up as much, right? Addie's getting more used to getting more minutes and handling that. Sternal had to run it. Kylie, she's been there, but still we'd like it to be Chit-Chat coming up. But I think that was the best part, is that we were on the positive side of it. But I'm hopeful when we get Chit-Chat back, we can look a little bit more fluid, morphing into it. But guys, we got most everybody that's playing this year is in a whole different role. And so learning that offense, it's going to take a little bit of time.
Coach, where is Addie Deal compared to where you thought she'd be at this point? And do you foresee maybe her making a late run, kind of like Ava did last year?
Yeah, I think I think Addie had a really nice tournament down there. I think so many times, she's probably putting a little pressure on the point production, but I think how she's understanding spacing and places that we want to be in our offense. But I think she definitely is progressing. I think that's an interesting step. But if you look at a lot of, there's a lot of great freshmen in the country they're also progressing through the steps. This new era sometimes, for the good and the bad, it puts a lot of expectations and hype on people. But when you come in, we just have to let that process settle. And I'm really happy with how she's working and managing that. But I do think you're going to continue to see her trajectory. But I think that, what that'll take is her just dropping those shoulders and really trusting that process and continually to work through these steps. But I thought she had a really solid tournament. I liked a lot of things that we saw down there. And I'm pretty certain we're going to continue seeing that. So I hope we'll have a continued progression. But I think you'll see her impacting. Ava had that, the end of the season, really that push. I'd like to think with Addie, you're going to see that even more consistently a little sooner. And I'm not talking about the flash. I think Ava got like, that Big Ten tournament last year. She had that run out, game against Michigan State. I think we just need Addie to be able to handle that 2 and some 1 and make those passes and hit those shots and, make that catalyst for the offense. And I think you're going to see her offense rise with that. But I don't think we need to focus that it's going to be this explosive offense, because I think that's the thing that so many people want to, look at and be like, oh, that kid's scoring this many points. And Addie's got a lot to her game. It doesn't just have to be the points.
Coach, you mentioned Taylor Strimmel's ball handling and the work she put in during the offseason. Is there something mechanical that's different about her shot, or is it just confidence? It seems like the shot maybe is a little bit quicker and definitely looks just better overall.
Taylor's got in the gym. That's it. I mean, kids who get in the gym and they're, like when I work kind of unique hours, but you know who's in the gyms. Like I'll see people late at night. I'll see people in the morning. Strimel just gets in the gym. And I think any coach will tell you, the chances go up, your shot goes in, the more you're in the gym. And she's working and working and working. A lot of them are, but that's just getting confidence.
And you guys shot 21% in that fourth quarter, and a very little subbing. Were there any regrets when you looked back at the end for critiquing yourself? Like maybe I should have had Journey in there a little bit, or maybe, is there any subbing regrets on your part?
Well, I think that, I'm glad we can look back and, see things we would have done differently when it's a win, right, over a loss. I think I got 2 new people on staff, again, this year. Last year, early on, we were trying to figure out some things, and I give freedom to our staff at times to, put people in games at different times because I have ultimate trust. But it's a cadence that you have to, we have to get a little bit better at. And that's the thing, though, with deeper teams, or what you hope is deeper, is, and what I think I've said that again, is we have nice pieces, but it's knowing when to play which pieces and with whom. And we're 6 games in. So it's really, it's the first thing I look at the end of when I look at the box score, and I'm like, oh gosh, really? That combination, there's so much processing. So I think you'll see us get better and better with that as well. But I think, every game, I think I could get a whole lot better with the different decisions you make at different times. But, part of it, you roll with people that, are, again, I think people put so much emphasis on points. Sometimes the lineups you need in there are going to defend, especially if you're not hitting. You got to at least stop them from hitting. And so if it's tough sledding offensively, you got to make sure that you're going to at least make it as hard as on the other team as much as possible. So I think we need to shore that up, certainly. But I think as our staff gets more and more comfortable, melding, and, I continue to get a little more used to who can go how long and who can play under pressure and who can't. I think you'll need to see that look a lot more clear.
I wanted to ask a similar question to Jeff's on Addie about Journey. Is she further along than you expected her to be, particularly given the injury she had in high school? And what have you learned from her now that, it's live game action?
Yeah. I think Journey is, I think our freshmen, quite honestly, are doing great. And I think they are great freshmen, all 3 of them. I think they're also freshmen. And I think that just at times you're going to see amazing moments, and then you're going to see times where it just goes fast. The pressure is great and they're learning. But overall, these 3 are really, really good. And Journey is doing a great job. She just needs to continue, just being that emotional impact player and continue getting in the gym and just getting those reps to give her that confidence. But I think she's doing a great job. The hardest thing is, like, she just never, you got to stay consistent and know if it's foul trouble, if we need she's such a sense. She's plays with a lot of, she gets that rebound whenever you need it. She has a good feel for the game. So keeping the feel as she works on the skill and the confidence of all the different moves and shots that she's going to get in different areas. I trust that you'll see her trajectory continue to go up as well. But I'm very, very pleased with what she's doing.
When you
I
look
wanted
at
to
the
ask about the 3-point shooting. Obviously Chit-Chat and Taylor McCabe have been up there in terms of the 3-point makes, and Taylor Stremmel's obviously shot up pretty well. But overall, just 32% as a team right now. Don't want to ask you if you're concerned by it, but just what do you think of the 3-point shooting right now? Do you feel like you have the depth of shooters on the roster, or is that just one of those things that maybe you just need to start seeing some fall?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's a little puzzling, right? Because I mean, they're shooters and we got to have makers. And I see a lot of making in the practice, and I see a lot of people, shooting in the gym. So I just feel like, we had the one game, I can't remember who it was now. Was it Evansville? Somewhere where, everything was falling. And I thought that was going to get us to, get us over the hump. I'm really studying it, getting them in even better positions to take the shots. So we're, we do have some really, good makers on the team. And I think some of them, I think they've rushed it a little bit. I think the youth, when you come in, and when I say youth, you're now in a different role. I think sometimes there's too much pressure that they're putting on themselves of the shot make. I just want people that are in there to set up their teammate to get the best shot possible. And so I'm trying to get us a little flowing in that direction, because I think that's so much like life, right? When you start like feeling pressure, like whatever it is you're doing that it's getting hard and you're getting tight, and I just got to have a good day. I've got to have a good day. I've got to, write the best story. Is if all of a sudden you just kind of drop those shoulders and you're trying to like pour into somebody else or making that extra pass, I think it will loosen up a bit. And they're only doing it because everybody knows that we're not shooting the ball well, right? So they want to just make a shot. But that's what I'm trying to free us up is, really trying to hit someone in a little better position. That I think if we can do that a little bit more consistently, I think you'll see that rise.
Coach, you've got a 5-star recruit coming in. You came close on 2 more. What now? I mean, what do you envision? I mean, you even with just one kid coming in, you've still got the number 18 recruiting class right now. How many more do you want? What are you looking for?
We can probably look for 1 or 2 more. I think, this, day and age where everybody lives, it's, I don't overhaul, I recruit for need, right? So I thought we needed a wing or 2 with our great power forward that's coming in, or forward with McKenna Velichko. So we came close, and that's just part of the nature of what you do, right? We did everything that you could possibly do. And sometimes at the end of the day, it just doesn't fall your way. Great kids, great families. So we'll kind of see who progresses, and then that might change, what we need, and where we need a little bit more depth. I would suspect we'll need it in that guard court, because you see what's happening right now with Chit-Chat being out. So if we can play, another combo guard or a really good wing that can, play a multiple of positions, to be able to back up the 1 or the 2 or the 3, because we're losing both Taylor and Kylie. So I don't have, I have no eyes on anything other than that. And that's just how the old days, that's how it was, right? If you missed out, you just kind of had to wait, if there was any transfers, or you just waited till that next cycle. I love the pieces we have right now. I think we're really, we can really develop, and we are progressing. But I think we could take 1 or 2 more. But I haven't really thought about that now. We'll just kind of see, what this year brings us.